And it says we're live, so I will just refresh the page. It still says waiting for Joe Dale, but maybe that's going to change in a second. We'll wait and see. It does seem to be working, but it's not appearing on my second screen. So I just refresh the page again.
I see. I just logged in and I saw 12 people are viewing. Yay!
We are live. We're live, everyone. Fantastic. So this is the third Q&A.
This is the third, the third Q&A that we've done.
First time we've used YouTube Live.
Yes.
We've got 11 people watching live. I don't know if that includes ourselves. Presumably it doesn't actually. Presumably it's 11. So for those people that haven't been along to these before, we would absolutely love you to write a question in the chat. The idea, it's gone down to 4. Did I say something? That's fantastic. It's gone up to 5 now. Come on, keep going, everyone. So
the important thing is that hopefully we have some great questions that come in. So whomever is here and is interested in asking us anything related to generative AI, especially if you're a language educator, even if you're not a language educator, but you happen to teach, we might be able to help you as well. So
that's the plan. So we can't wait to see the first question in a moment for anyone that would like to ask. We've got a few backup things we can talk about, but it would be lovely to see a nice question coming up very soon.
Well, we can talk to you about AI Literacy Days this Friday, right? And as part of our celebration of AI Literacy Day coming up this week, you and I are hosting that 10% off the May webinar series that we're doing on May 4th and May 18th. So I'll throw the link in the chat if you're interested in coming and joining us again with lots of information related to AI for students. There'll be some information as well, of course, for teachers, right, to help us streamline some of the things that we're doing, but thinking about how to grow our students' proficiency with AI. So I'll put that into the comments. Hopefully you can see. Interesting. Okay. I don't know if I can. We'll see.
If you pop it in the StreamYard comment box, I think it should appear on YouTube. That's my understanding.
Yeah. Well, I'm not seeing any questions come in, right?
Oh, right. So Martine is definitely watching us
live.
Oh,
yay. Hello.
Fantastic. So
Martine, where are you from?
For us, we would love to hear it because at the moment we're sort of treading water, but we would love to have a question. And
I'm curious though too, if people are watching, right, if this is part of their growing their own AI literacy as teachers and wondering what it is that they are looking to do or potentially experiment with, try, play, because that's a lot of this is just to take that first step.
Absolutely. So we have our first question, which is amazing. And we have Marie Alero as well, who's just listening, which is lovely. So it's lovely to see some familiar faces. So the question is from Todolela. Hello and thanks for this session. Could you suggest a way to create audios for our ESL students to work on a specific grammar point with comprehension questions? Thank you so much. So it depends what you mean exactly. If you're talking about when you say create audios, obviously there's tools like TTS Maker. So ttsmaker.com, I think is the website, allows you to turn text into downloadable audio files, MP3 files. So that's a really nice way of being able to create audios, and then from there you could then embed those into a Google form or a Microsoft form or that sort of thing. If you're looking for harnessing YouTube clips, then you could use Edpuzzle, and there's an Edpuzzle AI feature, which doesn't always work brilliantly well, I must say, but it is there. And then there's the obvious one to say really is Quizzes AI, so QUIZIZZ AI. And then recently I came across another tool. I watched the amazing Russell Stannard's presentation.
Great videos. Russell has great videos.
And I wrote about it in the Facebook group, Language Teaching with AI. and if I remember correctly, it is Quizi. It's QWIZ. I'll find it for them. I'll just have a quick look. Yeah. So Noemi, what would you suggest for ideas around audio for ESL
Well,
students?
I was thinking too with harnessing like and leveraging YouTube videos and using those clips. If you already have something that you love and it's tried and true, using something like Twee, right, or magicschool.ai to pop
Yeah.
in the YouTube URL. And then also diffit.me will allow you to pop in the YouTube URL and then customize the questions and the information around the audio. And then playing around with Canva, I was thinking about HeyGen, which is one of the AI powered apps within Canva. And HeyGen will let you create like a little talking head in any language. So I thought that might be a neat way for even your students to practice, right, their English or to practice with any language and to have that voice going and to have them create their own avatar.
That's
So
fantastic.
yeah, I thought that might be like a nice way to create some listening audio comprehension um, activities.
Amazing.
So
I found the name of the tool I was trying to think of, which is
okay,
Quizi, KWIZIE, and essentially you can use it to create listening comprehension activities from YouTube clips, and also in the same Russell Stannard session, he was talking about TurboScribe, which is amazing for YouTube clips. You get 3 YouTube clips per day if you want to. And what it will do is, even if there isn't a transcript for the clip, it will essentially extract the audio for you and then transcribe it for you automatically. And then you can then play it back, and it will, a bit like sort of karaoke, it will sort of show where you are in the text. So it will like sort of a little
so it'll highlight, right?
yeah, the
Yeah,
highlights bit will let go across
right.
text. So for independent learning and listening practice, I think that could be really amazing. And you can have, as I said, up to 3 videos per day of, I think it's 30 minutes per video. So if you're looking for ESL practice, depending on the level of the students, obviously, they could have a look at TurboScribe as well.
Right. Yeah, no, those are all great suggestions. I know that folks are requesting that we write down some of the tools in the chat. For some reason, I keep trying and it's not going. I may have to from like a different device, perhaps type while I'm in here with you all.
So I've just put Quizzy in the
Thank you,
chat,
Joe.
and then we've got TTS Maker. There we are. What I'll do is I'll make sure I write it up properly for the Facebook group as well. And then we've got TTS Maker.
Oh, sorry.
That's me.
It's me.
What I'll do is I'll make sure I
I'm
write
trying
it properly
to.
for the Facebook group as well. And then we've got TTS Maker.
Yep. I don't think there's I'm trying to get on without disturbing our audio here. So my apologies.
No, that's okay. No problem at all. So we have Toto Alela, who asked the question. The talking head in Canva sounds very interesting. So could you go in a bit more detail about that, Noemi, please?
Yeah, so Canva, as long as you're on their premium, right, subscription, which as educators, we all get premium subscriptions thanks to Canva, as well as our students. So when you're in Canva, they have a whole magic studio, magic design tools within Canva that are AI powered. And then they also have AI powered apps within Canva. And one of the AI powered apps is HeyGen, which HeyGen is actually an AI tool that works as well. Like you can go on, create an account. I just appreciate that it's already built into Canva, so you can use it within the Canva platform. So if your students are creating a presentation or they're, any sort of document where maybe you want their voice or highlights with audio, they can use that to create their own. So
amazing. And in the chat, I can just put a couple of other similar types of tools. There's one called MindJoy, which I saw Maria Leroux, who's with us right now, showing previously in another webinar, which was amazing. And there's also Synthesia, which is Synthesia, and another one called Deep Brain, all of which allow you to put in text, and it will then turn that text into a speaking avatar. So have a look at those ones as well.
Right.
Synthesia, I'll just write them in the chat for everyone. Synthesia and Deep Brain, as well as Mind Joy. So if you're looking for listening activities, then that might be really good. And you could also, once you've created your video, you could always upload it, for example, into a tool like Edpuzzle and turn it into listening comprehension by adding different markers within the video. So there we are. I think we've done a pretty good job.
Yeah, I was going to say, I love taking one resource and then making it so you can use all the modes of communication and really go deep with that particular resource as opposed to broad. So I always like to having the students kind of drive some of that as well. So
fantastic.
yeah.
I can see Marie in the chat is saying more that MindJoy is more of a chat bot. That's right. And my apologies, I don't know it as well. There's also, is it Credo, Kreado, I think, which is another type of sort of talking avatar. We haven't mentioned Mizu yet, but that's obviously a great chat
That's
bot.
a fan favorite here.
That's a fan favorite, yeah. So we can't get through a Q&A without mentioning Mizu.
Yeah, Martine, I don't think I can share my screen, by the way. I don't think I have that capability. But if you join us, right, for the 2-part webinar series, this is actually a nice segue. One of the topics that we're going to be going deep into is designing these listening comprehension activities along with reading, writing, and speaking with our students in mind. So I'm sorry, I can't give you the full capacity of the tutorial today, but I do invite you to join us in May for that 2-part webinar series. That we have that 10% discount code this week. So for anyone interested, AI Literacy Week 10, and you'll get 10% off just this week only, just to help promote AI Literacy Day on April 19th, which is this Friday.
Awesome. And it's the 4th and the 18th of May at UK time, 5 o'clock in the afternoon and 10 o'clock in the evening, UK time, which is
in the Northeast, 12 and 5.
Which is 12 EST or EDT,
right.
and 5 EDT.
I looked up the difference between EST and EDT, and it is in fact a difference. So I thought, okay, now I need to start writing things with EDT at this point, right, as opposed to EST. So my fault.
There we are. There we are.
Yeah.
So
yes, Martine, you missed the early bird sign up, but that's okay. There's still, there's discounts this week, and who knows what the future might bring with Joe and I.
Absolutely.
This series.
So,
we do have some more questions, by the way.
Let's carry on.
So Claudia asks, would you have ideas of ways to use AI for students, to use AI to stop students using AI to produce their essays? So great question. I know that our students have been using AI and they know how to use it really well, to the point where if now ChatGPT is open, right? You don't need a login. You don't need any personal or identifiable information. So I know that our students can go in just like I have, like write an essay about this topic, make sure you make some mistakes, right? And then that way, when I submit it, it looks like mine. So our students are very savvy. I highly encourage you to talk to your students about when to use generative AI and when not to use generative AI. So if you're saying this essay, you cannot use it at all as a brainstorming thought partner, then that's, the direction that you go in, and then make sure that in your rubric, you're setting up specific parameters as, if you're going to use AI for something that I'm saying no AI, then this is the consequence, this is the grade that you earn, versus, which I appreciate kind of this side a little bit more, knowing that they might feel that need to go to it to try. Let's use AI as a thought partner while we're starting to write this essay. Let's get some ideas and let's grab some of these ideas for our original work that we're planning to submit in the future. And we know that this is AI assisted. Joe and I have talked about too, like if the student submits it, can they give us some questions or some true false statements based on what they're submitting, just to know that it's really their work. But it's just like, I feel like as language teachers too, like we've been battling with Google Translate for 15, 20 years now. So it's nothing new to us to get something and be like, did you really write this? Is this really yours? Right? So having those conversations with the students and just addressing the elephant in the room, I think is really important first. And then setting the parameters, whichever parameters you feel comfortable in doing, that would be my advice. Joe, did you want to share any insight on that?
Right, I think, but I also think it's really important to remind everybody of age restrictions as well. I mean, I don't know exactly how it's working with ChatGPT if you don't need to sign in, because I have had a look at the website, and in the UK anyway, it seems to be that you can't at the moment just use it without being signed in. So maybe that's a US thing. Have you actually tried that? Have you actually tried?
I haven't, because I have an account,
Yeah,
but I saw that was released last week.
I saw it was released, but
Yeah,
if you go to ChatGPT, certainly in the UK anyway, feel free if anyone wants to try it right now, that it still seems to be asking you to sign up or log in. It's not, I couldn't see an option to be able to just use it without being, and I presume that the terms and conditions, e.g., you have to be 13 or above, you need to have parental permission. You need to have, well, I was normally say you need to have a mobile phone in order to receive the code. Presumably you wouldn't need to do that, but I presume you still have to be 13 or above to use ChatGPT, even without having an account, I would imagine. Otherwise, there's obviously lots of issues around that. But I think I totally agree with you, Noemí. I think that having that dialogue around the use, and maybe we probably said this previously, but I know that some teachers will show the students how an AI tool has produced a particular answer, a particular question, and they can then see themselves that it's not actually done a very good job, showing that we can't presume that everything it produces is going to be of good
right. The
quality. It's
hallucinations
so
is,
important to
yeah,
quality assess everything that it produces. So it's a bit of
right.
a minefield, but I agree with you that we've had Google Translate as an issue for a long, long time now. But I think having a positive dialogue about it and adhering to the AI policy of your school as well, which I know I say every time, but I think that's really, really important as well, to work your way through this. Because if the AI policy says that students should not be using um, AI tools unless they are at least 13 or above and they have parental permission, then you don't want to be, doing that, because otherwise, obviously, you can get yourself into hot water, and you wouldn't have a leg to stand on, really, from that point of view. So I think we all have to find our own way with this, really, and that's why I think these sorts of Q&A sessions are so
Yeah.
valuable.
Claudia, I was going to say, Claudia raised a great point, because I know we're all wondering the same thing in terms of how to, there's no sense in battling it, so to speak. There's no sense in ignoring it. Just like with anything, let's have a conversation, let's communicate, let's figure out what we want to do going forward as a class community. And hopefully your students will, own up, and not be, oh, I didn't use AI. No, I didn't.
No,
Like,
but there's always
that's
gonna
when
be
I'm like, oh, I hate it when you get back into that banter with the students and they're like, you clearly did not do this, but they're like, but I did. And you're like, come on, let's be honest. There were
exactly.
a few more questions too. The opinion of Copilot. I like Copilot. I like Copilot a lot. Microsoft's doing a great job too with the image generation. I'm very impressed. And if you are like a Microsoft, like you love Microsoft, right? Then use Copilot. Give it a go. Um, I I do like it. My personal favorite has been Gemini, just because it exports really well. And I've been doing a lot of things where I'll make something in ChatGPT and then figure out a way to get it then created in Canva. So like a two-part. So I've been having fun with that. Just did some flashcards recently and a would you rather activity with the same idea of using
Amazing. So you
ChatGPT.
generated the content in ChatGPT or
Right.
Gemini, and then you exported it to Canva.
Canva, exactly. Yeah,
Fantastic. And
there's
what are some of the export options in Gemini? 'Cause I think there was one that people were
so
talking about in
I was gonna
particular.
say I've just been living in Sheets and then I'll download it as a CSV and then the upload works really well into Canva.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Very
So
I was gonna say I can get very dorky about that. I get
no,
excited when
that's
it
I mean,
just
I
like, oh, that
in
yeah.
relation to Microsoft Copilot, I've not had a huge amount of time playing with it, really. I mean, I like yourself, I have played around with the image generation feature. I particularly like the image generator within Microsoft Designer, which is basically using DALL-E as well, as is Copilot, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I suppose the great thing about Copilot is it does give you access to ChatGPT 4 in a free tool. But it seems to, well, based on what I've heard from other experts in AI, that it tends to hallucinate a bit more, even though it's using ChatGPT 4. It says it's using ChatGPT 4, but it seems to hallucinate more than the premium version of ChatGPT. That's just what I've have been fine. Not that I've been using it that much. I wouldn't like to sort of give the wrong impression. I don't know if Chris Fry is with us tonight, but I know he's a big fan of Copilot. You can also use your voice with Copilot as well, with the app. And you do, again, with Copilot, you have to be 17 or above as well. So that's another issue to
So teachers, right? That might be something we want to use, but
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah. Lovely. So we've got some more questions. I mean,
yeah.
I could see Tom was asking about, are you planning anything about AI limitations and harms for AI Literacy Day? Sorry to be a bummer. There we are. No problem at all, Tom. It's all good. I mean, we sort of touched upon this already in a way in relation to trying to have this honest conversation with students about whether they're using the AI or not. Any other thoughts on the limitations or harms for AI Literacy Days,
Well,
Nomi?
I mentioned to you that article that I saw on LinkedIn recently about AI having more persuasion power than
Yeah.
humans do. So using AI as a marketing tool in the future, or having really AI kind of watch us and understand us and then market certain things in our direction, knowing, that it's going to gain our interest. When I was reading that article, I was like, I mean, I like generative AI, but then you read that and you're like, but I don't want to be manipulated or controlled.
Well,
So,
presumably that's what Facebook have been doing for years.
right,
You know,
right.
I mean, they're basically targeting your interests, and they're then sending adverts along your, into your feed and what have
Yeah,
you. I would imagine it's more sort of front and center now in a way. So yeah,
right.
it's interesting.
Yeah, the Tom is commenting about the inaccuracy, misinformation. Yes, we talked about that earlier, where
Mhm.
you do want to fact check things. You still want to read what it is that it's creating to make sure that it's accurate. You may have to do a little Google search to verify if it's something especially related to the target culture, that you want to make sure that it's highlighting aspects accurately and appropriately, and of course ethically. Um, so those are all good questions. But I do want to jump back to Corolla's question. How can I study the correct prompt to use AI? So I coincidentally am setting up a prompt design class for this Friday to celebrate AI Literacy Day. And you can learn more about that on my lologramos consulting.com website. But I set it up with the intentionality of really supporting teachers in creating a very well-designed prompt, and hoping that based on your well-designed prompt, you will get what it is that you're looking for, regardless of the tool that you're using and regardless of the LLM. So that'll be on the horizon, just to address her question. And I know we'll be touching upon that as well during our 2-part webinar series in May, because how can you not, right? We're gonna have to we're gonna have to talk about prompt design when we dive into all of these different AI tools to support teachers and students. And
I
then
mean, personally,
Martine,
on the prompt engineering side, I find Dan Fitzpatrick's Prepare framework is useful. So
yeah,
if you haven't heard of that, just do a search for Prepare, as in Prepare, framework by Dan Fitzpatrick. I think I mean, it says a lot of, it says a lot of obvious things in a way. If you've been playing around with this already, the idea of asking the LLM to play a role, or to
right.
be specific with your parameters, and to check for accuracy and bias that we sort of talked about already. But if you want some ideas around prompt engineering, then that might be a good starting point. And there are other frameworks available as well. Again, in my Facebook group, there's a number of different posts. There's one featuring Richard West Soley, who did an amazing webinar for Linguoscope a few weeks ago now, last month, and he goes through a couple of different frameworks that he has explored. So I would recommend having a look at those for sure. So we've only got a few more minutes to go, because we said we run for about half an hour. Maybe if we go slightly over, I think that's okay. But
Yeah, Martine is asking about the best AI tools to help students improve their pronunciation in L2. And I mean, you know what I'm going to say.
Go on.
You're like, you can read my mind.
Does it start with an M, by any chance?
It does. Does it end with a U? Yeah. So Martine, definitely check out if you've not Mizzou or and see within their spaces how you can create these different bots. And it is fascinating that the chat bot can be anyone, anything, and it can come to life, alive or dead. So I've set up a few bots where you can chat with Frida Kahlo and talk all about her artwork and get to know her as an artist, or have a discussion all about the Amazon rainforest and like climate change and how what we're doing affects the Amazon rainforest. So there's a lot of really neat ways to use these bots to sneakily, yes, help with our students' pronunciation and their language use. But anything else that you wanted to add, Joe?
I think I totally agree with what you just said. I'd also say for those people using Microsoft, there's Reading Coach, which is part of Immersive Reader.
Yes,
If you don't
so
know how to
good.
access that, if you go to in Word or in PowerPoint, etc., you go to the View menu. You'll see Immersive Reader is there. So if you have some text in a Word document, you run Immersive Reader. It will allow you to listen back to the text being read to you with a nice modern pronunciation, and you can do various other things such as change the background color and highlight the nouns, the verbs, the adjectives, the adverbs, etc. And on the last option, which also includes the picture dictionary and the translation tool, there's a new feature called Reading Coach. And if you click on that, then it allows you to record yourself reading the text back. So you've sort of been exposed already to the model of pronunciation from the AI. You can then record yourself, and it will then give you tips on pronunciation and words you need to work on. It gives you 5 words that you need to help with, that you need to practice for your pronunciation. So I think that's a really, really nice way of practicing for your pronunciation. And then in relation to sort of the equivalent in, say, Google tools, you could argue that a tool like voice typing, which just comes as part and parcel of Google Docs. So that's under the tools menu, launch voice typing. You can then use your voice for voice to text. It's not giving you feedback about your pronunciation, but it's a good way of practicing speaking into, let's say, a Google Doc. And then the equivalent for Microsoft is just dictation, the way in which you can practice speaking in the target language. And if it doesn't do a good job, maybe that shows that you're not pronouncing the words properly, as it were. Therefore, you can get feedback from your teacher who can then see the text that you've written with your voice. So those are a few ideas around pronunciation for sure.
Yeah, I do want to shout out too Duolingo. It's an oldie but goodie, right, with pronunciation and practicing. And I know that they've integrated a few AI capabilities within their platform. So Duolingo for schools, though, is the one that you want to set students up to use. And hopefully, same thing. It's a tool that you're allowed to use with the kids. But I've always found that it's like a fun, same thing, like fun way to practice. And they've set up like there's different scenarios that you can put the kids in to practice. There's stories that they can read, and they're sometimes a little quirky and fun. But I do appreciate the evolution of Duolingo for schools. It's come a long way in about 10 years. So from when I first came across it and I thought, wow, this is really cool, and where it is today. So yeah.
Amazing. I mean, just another point I've just thought of in relation to pronunciation is with Book Creator, which is app.bookcreator.com. You can there's various features which help with pronunciation. There's in the text tool, just for inputting text, there's a microphone, so you can use your voice there as well to input text. When you create videos or you import videos that you've created somewhere else, you can then use the captions option to generate captions in the language that you choose. That's another way of making those sound spelling links. So those are a few more ideas around pronunciation. Likewise, in tools like Flip, formerly known as Flipgrid, that also allows you to create subtitles for your video clips. And as we know with YouTube itself, you can enable not only subtitles, but you can also enable the translation as well. So if you find, for example, a video which is in a language which you don't speak, you can always auto translate into a language you do speak in order to learn about whatever it is that you're interested in. So that's a feature I use quite a lot, I must say. I might find a video to do with whatever it might be, a certain edtech tool which is in Portuguese, and I just run auto translation of it in English, and I can work out the features, etc., etc. So those are a few more ideas.
Martine is following up about an actual conversation. That's where I would say Mizzou for sure, check out. And then School AI is another one that I like to use with the spaces. I haven't used it as much as I've used Mizzou or Mizzou. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing Mizzou.
Well, I say Mizzou, but you say Mizzou. So my stress is in a different. It's on the first syllable, and yours is on the second. But whatever. It's all good.
But again, Martine, I would definitely, in terms of like live back and forth, when I've tested it out too with students and teachers have made mistakes, students have made mistakes on purpose, and it will provide some corrective feedback. And then the teacher will be able to see the conversation that the bot had with the student. And then the teacher will also receive an AI grade, an AI assisted grade that this tool would deem appropriate for the student based on the conversation. And I know it flags automatically if there's any sort of inappropriate language or any sort of comments that are totally out of this world, it'll flag it with an F. Yeah. Thanks, Martine. Tomato. Yeah. I know there's so many tools that as you're learning about them, you're like, I think this is how you say this one. And you want to honor, right, the creators of the tool. But yes, I appreciate that. Tomato.
Absolutely.
It is what it is. Yeah.
Fantastic. So we've done our half an hour. Maybe we should remind everyone of this amazing 2-part webinar series that we're doing in May.
Yeah. So if you're looking to join us again, which hopefully you are, we will be doing a very in-depth webinar over 2 days in May, 2 Saturdays. So that way it doesn't mess up with your class schedule, your sub-plans. And then we're offering the same workshop twice in the same day. So hopefully if you're driving your kids to and from soccer practice, you can at least tune in at the later time, right? And or football, I should say, for my friends in the UK and everywhere else in the world. So I know that we have the 10% off this week. If you're interested, AI Literacy Week 10 is the coupon code. I'm also, just trying to promote AI literacy and where you want to get started. Joining our webinar series is also like a nice way to really start to dip your whole foot into the water, because we'll be going through many different tools and giving some opportunities to practice and Q&A and really go much more in depth than just, the conversation that we're having with you all today. So hopefully we'll see you again. Martine is asking to write the code. So AI Literacy Week 10.
Yeah. And to apply the code, what you do is you go to the Eventbrite, and then at checkout, there's a little box at the top saying promo code, I think it is. And that's where you put the promo code. So it's AI Literacy Week 10. And that's running as of today until Friday. So if you want that 10% off, this is the week to do it.
Yeah. And I was going to say, if you're interested in following either of us, I know that I'm doing a lot to just promote AI Literacy Day on the 19th. So just a lot of very constant notifications of everything that's on the horizon, just to help and support everyone who's out there who's interested in learning.
Amazing. So thanks everyone again for coming along. I think we've got a few people that have been along to at least 2 out of the 3 we've done so far.
Thanks for coming back. Thanks for being here.
Which is lovely.
Yeah.
And, we really, really, really appreciate it. And we really hope that it's been helpful. And thank you so much everyone for their questions as well. It's been great.
Merci, Claudia. Thank you so much. Merci.
So I'm sure we'll be doing another one soon. So we'll let you know. And in the meantime, take care. And if you want to get in touch with either of us, you know how to do that.
Yeah.
And we're more than happy to answer any other AI questions that you may have.
Muchas gracias.
Cool. I'm just going to end the stream now, if that's okay.
Okay. And bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.